Welcome to The Next, the podcast that talks about the future and disruption in technology. Today I have one of the leading figures for blockchain in the UAE, Dr. Marwan. Dr. Marwan, you'll do a better job of introducing yourself than I will. So please go ahead.
My name is Dr. Marwan. As you said, I'm the CEO of Dubai Blockchain Center, as well as I've done a lot of work in crypto and cybersecurity and digital forensics and technology in general. I was one of the pioneers of the internet here in the UAE. I started something called the Emirates Internet Association, which was done by a group of people who are all Emiratis under the umbrella of Dubai Internet City. It was one of the initiatives that really helped the UAE be at the forefront of innovation when it comes to the internet, and also help the internet get one of the biggest penetrations anywhere in the world. Because we started early, we started very quickly with very, very good initiatives in the beginning.
How did you get into this? Why?
So as with all technology, I was growing up, actually, I was very intrigued by how things work mechanically, also with software. I was introduced very early through something called the Science Club, or Nadi Al-Ilmi بالعربي, which was an initiative by the, I think, Ministry of Education at the time.
Yeah.
And they saw in Kuwait, actually, out of all places in the world, they had a science club that was very active in the summer time. And
so this was a child, or is it?
Yeah, I was maybe like 8, 9, 10, something like preteen. And my uncle was one of those guys that actually, his name is Ahmed Al Zarouni, and he was in the Ministry of Education, and he saw that this is a really good initiative. There were a number of other people. Now the Nadwat Thaqafa Al-Ulum, which is the entity that actually sponsored the Science Club, there was a guy called Bilal Badour, and with my uncle Bilal and some other people, they started this idea of starting the Science Club here in the UAE, and more specifically in Dubai. And they started with things like teaching you how to program, so programming classes, when the program or curriculum was not there in the schools at that time. Started with photography, electronics, taxidermy.
So do you say when you grew up, you have a scientific mind?
Yeah, scientific mind, but it was first principles based. So I did all of these classes. My brother even did carpentry, so I understand how human anatomy works, how animal anatomy works. When you do taxidermy, you actually open up, starting from things like frogs and rabbits, and going up to a full mammal. It is really, really a good foundation of understanding programming, electronics, biology, mechanics, everything. And at that young age, we learned from the Science Club practically much more we learned from the theories that we learned in school.
Yeah.
And that gives you a really good first principles knowledge of how things work in the world. That made me more, have a deeper knowledge of how tech can change and how.
So does that make you more of an engineer or a scientist, would you say?
I think a bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
And I was a prankster when I was a kid, so I was very competitive as well. So I would like to always be the first in the class, whether it's photography or taxidermy or.
Who did you prank?
Of everyone, from my classmates to the teachers and everything. So
I won't ask you anything. any crazy pranks you did.
Yeah, we did a lot of crazy pranks, but the thing is, we learned how to be innovative, how to be disruptive, and through this playful kind of use of science, it took away all this dryness that we had in school. Like in school, you remember facts and you just restate the facts in exams. In the Science Club, we were building, one of my first projects was actually a conversational AI, just like ChatGPT, where I would sit behind a computer and the guy would sit behind another computer, and will, just like ChatGPT, will ask questions and we'll try to have a conversation.
So you'd speak to each other?
Yeah.
So like chat, like MSN chat or whatever?
Yeah, but the thing is this. I would not tell him which answers were actually done by the AI or the computer and which answers was answered by a human.
So you're saying Chat GPT or similar large language models were available back then?
Yes, and this is like early 1980s. And in Arabic, by the way, because we had Sakhar at the time.
Yeah.
We had Basic, which is the programming language, but it was available in Arabic as well. So we were programming both in Arabic and in English
Right.
at that day. Today, you would be very hard pressed to find anything in Arabic, a natural language programming in Arabic. Like you actually write the code in Arabic.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a book I read recently called The Age of AI. And it's a very good book, and it goes through the whole history of AI, from large language models to transformers in the 80s, and how they've been used in chess and all of this stuff. So it's interesting to see that you were exposed to that from a very young age.
That's extremely important because at that time, what we were programming into those chatbots were logic and
Right.
probability, and what are the likelihood that somebody will ask this kind of question,
Mm-hmm.
and what do you do and how do you answer if you get a very kind of open-ended question. So that kind of pathway in my brain as a child
Mm-hmm.
opened up a very kind of inquisitive kind of mind that, okay, we are assuming that this will happen. But when you actually try, that's why I told you practical knowledge is extremely important.
It is.
When we actually sit next to a human and then you have your colleague versus your instructor versus your mom versus your dad,
Yeah.
they all ask totally different questions. And this is extremely important to understand demographics as well. So that kind of a guy 9 or 10 or even 13 years old going through that kind of brain kind of exercise, logical exercise to solve a computer program,
Yeah.
which is a chatbot, opened me up to, okay, people perceive the whole world totally different.
Yeah.
And you have to write code to be understood, number one, by everyone, but also you have to make it as dumb as possible because you have to have this lower common denominator to be able to speak to an elderly person, a young person, a technical person, a non-technical person in the same way. So imagine this ChatGPT until today does not have context when you ask it a question.
ChatGPT doesn't have context. Well, you can train it to have context,
Yes.
right? So you can train LLMs to do that.
100%. But they have to have memory, right?
Yeah.
You have to remember the previous conversation. This is exactly what was doable even at that time.
Yeah.
So the first thing my chat would do at that time was something like, hi, I am this. What is your name?
Yeah.
And as soon as you give it your name, it pulls out the whole history. What did you ask before?
Yeah.
It's very simple logic, but it's the same thing right now with
Yeah.
memory. All the chat, in the beginning, ChatGPT did not have, all the chats did not have memory. Now they have memory feature. They remember your context, and they build basically a profile about you, unless you disable.
Exactly, and we can go on about how it's used in all sorts of stuff, right? So everything from cybersecurity to, we can talk about even how it's going to change the world and everything. But I wanted to focus more about you as well. So you've talked about your childhood. Growing up, being very inquisitive, having, I would say, more of an engineer than a scientist mindset, because engineers like to solve problems, scientists like to research. But how important was the academic route for you in getting to where you are today as being one of the leading figures in Web3?
It's important, but like I said, for me, dry kind of information was never kind of the thing that attracted me to this.
Yeah.
The practical aspects where I actually...
So that's definitely an engineering mindset.
100%. But without the science, without the first principles, without understanding the core behind it,
of course,
it's very hard to build.
Where did you do your education and...
So I started here, of course, in the UAE. I was in public schools, and then from there, I did the TOEFL, and then I got a scholarship to go and study in the US. And I did aviation initially, and then I added computer science to it. So I graduated in my bachelor.
Aeronautics or aviation?
Aviation is like aeronautical science.
Yeah.
Plus the ground school, basically.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So you do both, a bit of both.
Because aeronautical engineering is nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's its own little. Yeah. So I went to Imperial, Imperial College in London. I studied chemical engineering, and I remember it's probably the 4 most traumatic years of my life, but even then, chemical engineering in Imperial was meant to be very, very difficult. But there was one course that people who came out, they looked different. It was aeronautics. So aeronautics is very difficult. So then you went into...
So I did that.
You did that, yeah.
So I did my bachelor's degree was aviation computer science. So it was computer science for the aviation industry.
I see.
Which is extremely fundamentally different than
systems control, all like electronic systems and control systems and all that
real-time systems, which means it's not dry code written. Again, this is what attracted me to it, which is the practical aspect of it. It's very, very strongly typed. The languages they use are something like Ada for programming. Ada is a very strongly typed language used for launching, rockets, airspace systems, airplanes, aviation, avionics, which is electronics for aviation. Even electronics for aviation has its own name, which is avionics, which has to be extremely much more quality controlled than normal electronics.
So going down that path in life would mean logically that you would be, helping Boeing or Airbus, right? How did you deviate from doing that to getting into like crypto?
Okay. So like I mentioned, when I was studying aviation, I actually deviated straight away to computer science, not because of computer science. I didn't want to do computer science. I did programming when I was younger, and I was very happy with it as a hobby and that kind of stuff. But what really intrigued me at that time, and this was 1993, 1994, was the internet.
Right.
The internet came out, and I was working in the lab and finishing my assignments early and all this stuff, and I was spending a lot of time in the lab. And then one of those days, I saw a poster from ACM, which is Association for Computer Machinery, free pizzas, come learn about the internet. And this was very early days. There was no Mosaic browser. There was no Yahoo. There was nothing at that time.
This is what, early 90s?
1993, 1994.
So you had, did you have like a 386 or a 486 computer?
No, there were IBM AIX and Sun Microsystems and those kind of systems. I don't know if anybody remembers those, actually. I sound very old now. But the internet was on those machines. It was not yet on Windows or any of the, there was not on Mac, for example. There was no internet on a Mac. There were early days of...
Macintosh was a very basic...
at least not in schools and universities. In the lab, there was all AIX systems and Sun Microsystems. There was nothing else. There was something called Silicon Graphics, SGI, but that was used mostly for modeling and simulation.
So when was the first ISP in the UAE?
Much later, I think maybe 1997. It was the early days, but it was not fully kind of adopted by people until like the 2000s. This is where we started actually the Emirates Internet Association.
Right.
I was actually in the US after I finished my education as well. I stayed there and worked there in the university itself as a web architect. So I was doing the website for the university, cataloging everything going from print to fully digital online for the university at that time. So
you'd say your first or your second, you started off being someone who's really into computer science. Internet was for you was the start, I'd say, in your career to where you are today, for getting into Web3. So that was what, Web 2.0? That was the start.
Zero.
Web 0.
Not even one.
Not even one. So this is like Web 0. And then I guess when the first ISP came into the UAE, 97.
Yeah, but people were not very well receiving it. So even before that, so imagine, I have really good, very technical uncles, and that helped me. One of them, like I said, was the guy that introduced me to all of this, Ammi Mahmoud or Uncle Mahmoud. But there was another uncle, Tayyib, who used to work for Diwa. So I took the internet. I was very happy with it. I took a computer with me to the UAE from the US as soon as the internet came out, to him, put it on his desk, set it up in his house, connected the internet to CompuServe in the US, dialed in, showed him the internet. And I was like, this is amazing. And he's like, nope, it's too slow. It's never going to take off.
Mhm.
I was like, really? And then even when the internet came out, I actually set up the internet for my family and friends. And they were saying, we have to pay by the minute. It is never going to take off because they see the current state of the internet. They didn't see the potential. Like 96 baud, which is like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the UAE, it was really, really slow.
Right.
Even in the US, if you had a CompuServe or AOL account, it was still extremely
It was still very slow.
Yeah.
I think it only started. I mean, I remember the old dial-up modems
Yeah, 100%.
with the funny noise, and you
Yeah.
couldn't use it if someone uses the phone in the house.
Yes, 100%. Initially, it was like this. And then eventually they had copper wire kind of internet connections. And the evolution became very rapid because the demand was increasing. The
Fiber
companies
optic.
yeah, 100%.
And then as ISDN was the next one. And then
Imagine in 1993, 1994, even late 1990s, we had ISDN lines going between states and we were doing remote education. So I was working in the EdTech department, which is education and technology, and we were having concurrent classes between Daytona Beach and Arizona.
Daytona Beach. Yeah, I remember.
Imagine.
That's old.
With the microphones hanging from the class. So remote education at that time. So people are saying that LMS and all these stuff are new. It's not new. It's been there since.
It's a fancy UI,
yeah.
right? That's what's really developed in tech. Yeah. It's more the fancy UI rather than the actual fundamental sort of technology. That's what I mean. Fundamental technologies obviously changed. How do you look at going from Web 1, if you call it that, to Web 2.0 to now Web 3.0, which came out. I mean, Web 3.0 is old. Web 3 is old, right? It's old now. It's 10 years old or whatever. Where did you go from that to maybe how do you see the Emirates or the UAE develop between the three transitions? Why?
Very good question. I think the leadership here is very, very keen on being the first and being very technology focused for delivering the best user experience. I remember in the early days of the internet, I wanted to actually work for Dubai Internet City, and I actually signed up and everything to start working with them. But then I got headhunted by Dubai Police. And when I started working with Dubai Police, the first thing we wanted to do is go to market very quickly with e-services, deliver a service online very quickly, and do the payments online. Payments online at the beginning of the internet was a no-no. It's actually illegal in some of the countries in the world, including in the US, by the way. We were talking about payments before the podcast. It's still a very tricky matter. So Dubai Police was the first entity to launch a service and have payments for fines online in the launch of Dubai Internet City. And this was an amazing achievement for Dubai. But what the leadership realized is this is just the beginning. And either we do it or not. And there was a famous guy that came to His Highness and told him, look, the internet is coming here, but it's going to be disruptive to our business. Do we really need to do it? And His Highness said, absolutely yes. If you don't do it, you will be left behind. All of the things that you own right now will be backwards. Everybody will be running and you'll still be trying to catch up. It's better to do it now. It's better to put in the investment. And His Highness at that time said, with zero increase in budget for every government department. Imagine the private sector that had to invest as well. This was the concern of the private sector, but it was really a good move, an extremely, extremely positive move for the UAE, because not only we launched Dubai Internet City, we signaled to the world that this is where we're going. We signaled to the world that companies like Microsoft, Oracle would be at the forefront of this tech, and we're actually going with them to
Microsoft and Oracle being which tech do you mean?
The internet technology.
The internet. Okay.
Oracle had really cutting edge technology. Microsoft had .NET, which at that time was the internet-based technology built for the internet. A lot of the applications, early applications from the 2000s, are still surviving today, by the way, are built on .NET platform. We're slowly now shifting to other technologies like Java and that kind of stuff, but it will take time. But at that time, it was a really good decision to take that leap of faith and jump on the internet. And there was another phase going from e-government to a smart government, changing to mobile services.
What does that mean, e-government, and what does smart government? What's the difference?
The difference is e-government was government services online, so you don't have to go physically to a service center to finish your application. You can do everything online.
Yeah.
Including payment, by the way, which was, like I said, the biggest bottleneck. Then the whole service could be done now from a smartphone.
Yes. So that's smart government.
That's smart government. And now, more recently, as of last year or 2023, we shifted to Dubai Digital, which is everything digital, not only government services, but also life in Dubai in general. And this was kicked off actually starting in COVID. Learning online, exchange of everything online. This is extremely important. The exchange of value online, which started with Dubai now, which was called Dubai Pay at the time. My ID, which was a Dubai initiative at that time, became UAE Pass, which is a UAE.
Yes, UAE Pass, of course. So use it for everything now.
Yes, 100%.
And it makes life a lot easier.
And you cannot imagine, you cannot imagine life without it right now.
No.
A lot of countries don't even understand the concept. And when they come here, they look at it and it's like, wow, how did you guys get this done? And it's unimaginable, the red tape that you had to go through to enable.
Of course, you had to submit. I remember the days where you had to submit. You had to keep with you all the time your Emirates
papers.
ID,
100%.
Your Emirates ID, your DIWA, all of this stuff, all together, because you're going to need it. But now with this, you don't need anything like that. Wanted to shift the conversation a little bit to Web3 specifically. Obviously, the UAE has, specifically after COVID, I think especially after COVID, established itself as the leading, not only like an emerging, but I would say the leading country and the leading country to regulate virtual assets. Right? Here in the UAE, we have ADGM, which is the FSRA. We have VARA in Dubai. We have the central bank. We have all of these different entities. If you compare the UAE to, say, the UK or Europe, yes, I would argue that the UK is 10 years behind. The EU is probably 5 years. This would have been unimaginable, and an unimaginable statement about 8-9 years ago, I think. How do you think that will change the landscape here in the UAE?
And I think we've always been on the right path, and I think we're continuing to be on the right path and continuing looking at everything from our own unique perspective. Remember, we're bringing it now a full loop. Remember, having a good perspective and how business works, how the consumers want to use their money, how the institutions actually make money, and how they onboard people, how they run the businesses. Having that fundamental knowledge as well as being in touch with really good feedback loop with the industry is extremely important. Dubai has always had that at its core. The leadership here understood what the merchant wants, what the citizen wants, what the visitor wants, what every single person within the whole Dubai ecosystem wants. And crypto is no different. Web3 is no different. We want to enable people to do business. Their success is our success.
Yeah.
They're, providing a good environment for the retail, for the institutions to flourish, and for everybody to have that kind of umbrella of safety is extremely important as well. So having that kind of combination and building around that kind of idea of enablement rather than oversight and clamping down and suffocating the businesses, enabling them with a really
creating what you're saying, I think, is creating the core infrastructure to attract these businesses.
Not only the infrastructure, legitimate kind of framework that is actually enforceable, number one. Number two, a good feedback loop. So not only
the feedback loop as well as I would say regulatory infrastructure is 100%. Very important, because that regulation affects policy. Mm-hmm. Politics affects policy. Mm-hmm. Policy affects regulation. Regulation affects creates a framework for people to follow it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's, many countries, I would argue, have a a square peg in a round hole
Yeah.
when it comes to regulation. But Dubai does it right because I think it's a lot more nimble.
100%. And you'll see, like Dubai always, even when we launched the Dubai Internet City, for example, His Excellency Gargawi gave everyone the book of Who Moved My Cheese and encouraged everybody to read it.
Yeah.
Because at the time, the internet was actually moving everybody's cheese. Everything was going to move digital. If it wasn't, this was very early, this is early 2000s. Internet and the internet bubble came later.
Yeah.
But we were there, and people understood that we need to move with the cheese. We cannot say, oh, it's too late for us. La, la. We had to move. Crypto is the same thing. Crypto is not going to be the whole transformative kind of technology, but it will be part of the future, part of what is next, right? We need to understand it, understand the value take from it. We need to put the regulatory framework around it. VARA was an entity that was created for purpose for crypto.
Yeah.
It was not trying to peg, a square to a circle.
Square peg in a round hole. Yeah. No.
It was not. It was made for purpose to enable virtual asset service providers to do business, not burdening them, but enabling them to do what they do best, which is offer a service for the retail, offer a brokerage service, offer an exchange. Be able to enable those businesses to have a home with the right framework, with the right security controls, with the right technical controls, policy controls, and everything. Not only that, have complete oversight of every single detail on every single control without burdening the business.
I want to ask you a controversial question.
Yeah.
Has crypto or Web3 changed our lives yet?
Depends on who you're talking to.
I'm talking to you.
Of course, for me, yes, 100%.
How has it changed our lives? How has it changed the ordinary citizen's life?
Again, the adoption is not there like the internet. Internet touched everyone in the world right now. Crypto is still in that pathway. A lot of people look at it now the way they were looking at the internet. Like, remember my uncle, when he was saying this is never going to take off? My uncle is one of the biggest users of the internet 24/7 right now.
Yeah.
But at that time, he saw it for what it was at the time. People see crypto and peg crypto to what they see now.
Yes.
The idea of what crypto is right now, which is they're not seeing where it's going to be in 3-4 years. It's not where it's going to be in 7 years, 8 years. They're not seeing the technology that will enable. If you ask me in 1994, 1995, even 2000 about social media, I would not even know or fathom what social media was.
Yeah.
Even when social media came out, I was like not understanding the value of it. One of my friends, his name is Fahad Al-Mahmoud, is the one that told me about Twitter at the time and told me, look, this is social media. You have to jump on it.
Yes.
And
so what areas do you think specifically in the next 12, 24 months will, you're the CEO of the Dubai Blockchain Center. So you have a very big vision and a better visibility than most people. But where do you see it actually affecting or improving life? Because my concern has always been that I think, I'm just bringing up a quote by Mohammed Al-Aryan. He was the CEO of PIMCO, if you remember, a board member of Under Armour, and a very, very big guy. But he says this, and he's talking about AI, and I'm going to read the quote. He says, "There's little doubt in my mind that AI is transformative." Now, he's talking about AI, but I'd like to draw a parallel to Web3. There is little doubt in my mind that AI is transformative, general purpose technology poised to deliver significant productivity gains and inevitably excessive. History reminds us that such innovations dramatically lower the barrier to entry for both existing and new activities, often setting off initial waves of overproduction and overconsumption. As such, some wasted investments and failed ventures are part of the process. But get the ecosystem and diffusion right, and the upside potential for growth is exciting. So he posted this today. He wrote something in The Economist around the $3 trillion bet on AI. Now, I want to liken that comment to Web3, and I think there's been a lot of failures over the last 5 years, and I think crypto and blockchain have almost got a bad rep. You know, the hype has been insane. You know, people trading pictures of monkeys, right?
100%.
And the NFT. I mean, one of the biggest skeptic for NFT. I see the use for NFTs. I see the potential for them. I see the potential for things being on an immutable ledger. But the way that because in this initial phase, things were like, it created a bubble. It created a lot of failed ventures. But from that, the good thing is that some lessons learned and there are paths forward. What do you think? How do you see the paths forward specifically here in the UAE and in your experience?
100%. Look, every technology that you talked about, whether it was the early internet, had its internet bubble. I have a good friends of mine in the US actually that went completely bankrupt only to jump on the next wave of technology of things like crypto and be successful, and then fail again in other things like smartphone, for example, was a huge success story for a lot of people, but also a huge failure. Social media as well. A lot of people launched a lot of social media network, but then the prevailing ones were only a few that you can count on your both hands, and companies spend billions of dollars until today attacking that Web 2 kind of narrative.
Yeah.
A lot of people are actually finding it very hard to transition companies between Web 2 and Web 3.
To Web 3.
There are companies that are doing it very successfully. I'm actually working on that right now as well. One of my strategies transition people between Web 2 and Web 3.
What industries would you say are poised to transition first?
Very interesting one. So Web 2, imagine Web 1 was providing the internet superhighway, information to everyone.
Yeah.
Democracy of information, basically. Layer 2 became the social aspect, connectivity of people, social influence, which is prevalent until today. It's a really good money maker. But what a lot of people don't know, that the direct value exchange between the influencer and the people that he influences is not tapped fully.
Between the influencer?
Yes. So imagine I'm an influencer. I have 1 million followers.
So you're talking about the sort of marketing social media world.
So there are many ways where they can make money, but there's no, the efficiency is not there.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm an influencer. I have, let's say, 1 million followers.
Yeah.
I might be making money from ads or making money from streams or from streaming networks or videos that I create, the content basically creation portion. But also I could take deals of promoting certain products and get ad revenue as well from that. That's apart from the ads that are served during the content itself.
Yes.
Also, I can do deals with brand ambassadorship and things like that. Those are all okay, but this is not where real money is made. Real money is made when you buy granularly things from that influencer, have a way to connect with him directly as a person. People are willing to pay for that right now. And some influencers do that, actually, charge people for having a conversation with them.
I think
but it's not streamlined.
It's not streamlined, but also I think that way of thinking, the way that the creator economy is moving, it's being, you got the big companies like Meta, right, that see this on YouTube,
and they are making the most of the money, by the way.
And they're the guys that are coming in and grabbing the attention. But attention, I mean, since we're on this topic, attention is going to start to become more decentralized.
Yes, so this is already happening, not very successfully.
Yeah,
it's happening on short platform, short attention platform, like viral, doom scrolling kind of platform.
TikTok.
It's having medium and long form. So short form, medium, and long, all of them have different audiences, right?
Yeah.
And also other, I would say, not extinct, but all their demographic platforms like Facebook still survive, still doing very well. Facebook Marketplace, for example, is still doing okay in a lot of regions of the world. And that could come to culture, demographics, and how the age demographic in each country and region is. So more older people versus more younger people, versus gamers versus
Yeah.
non-gamers. So all the socio-economic aspect plays into it as well. But there's no one size fits all, right? The Web3 can bring in a lot of value for certain demographics. Does not apply across the board.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is there's a huge barrier for entry.
Correct.
But if you make it,
is there a huge barrier for entry?
Yeah, because you have to understand how wallets work.
Yeah.
There's one of the concepts in Web3 that there's a coin termed wallet abstraction or cryptocurrency abstraction, or there's abstraction layers where you can make it easier, where the person does not have to open a wallet. It's built in to the Web2 platform, that kind of stuff. This is one way to do it, but the idea is once that becomes completely transparent, while something better than money comes along, and there's a lot of papers. There's a very nice concept by David Chaum, which is called Better Than Money. Right? There's a lot of where you can keep the money and the monetization in the background.
Right.
This kind of concept will take off in a big way.
And you're specifically talking, are you talking about the fundamental, are you thinking about it, this is the fundamental solution to a lot of problems? And not just in the content creator economy, or are you talking about very generally?
Very generally, but anything that's digitally native will be open for transitioning from that kind of on-chain. Now with all the friction systems for payments and that kind of stuff, payments is extremely big unlock actually for this.
Right.
So because right now payment is very hard to do. Regulation of it is hard. The moving parts with KYC, ML, banking rails, all the stuff is extremely inefficient.
Yes.
When we are in this digital world and you're still waiting for a banking transaction to happen.
Why is it inefficient?
Because of the existing systems and the
clunky old.
The rails are there. It's fully digital payments, but it's still on rails that are on requirements as well and regulations that have not evolved to make it seamless. Once you have direct payments to influencers from their
the on-ramping and off-ramping piece.
Yeah, and also people look at numbers from a totally different perspective. I look at numbers, for example, the perception of money itself is now very governed by the dirham or the dollar or whatever other means that you see a number in the bank.
Yeah.
The value of the person or the value of the influence or the value of the reputation is not captured in the right way where it shows you long-term value. There can be a better way of capturing this, but right now we are not there. But it will be, eventually we will get to that.
So we've talked about payments.
Yeah.
We've talked about the kind of creator economy, the marketing industry, if you like. But more generally, if you take a 30,000-foot view and look at how, we call it a new technology, but it's not. It's a very old technology now. Will influence other aspects of life. And Dubai is almost like a test case for a lot of this stuff because, you're moaning about banks being old and clunky, but compare the banks to banks in the US or the UK or in India or in the EU, they're even more behind, right?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about only that. I'm talking about leapfrogging all of this. We jumped. A lot of countries, they didn't even do phone lines. They jumped straight to the internet.
Right.
We can do leapfrogging the whole payment system. By the way, in the UAE, we are very lucky. We have identity, which is fully digital with UAE Pass. We have payments with Dubai Now, which is fully online payments. The settlement behind as well is fully done digitally. So, but end of the day, the money goes in the bank.
Yeah.
Right. So we still have that part. If it was much more liquid, much more digital, fully digital, and the payments are done in a new kind of leapfrogged way. I'm not saying blockchain. I'm saying maybe blockchain, maybe something even next. We have a cashless initiatives. I'm not part of that in the UAE, but I think cashless is extremely important as a concept. A lot of European countries are doing it already. We had a number of visits as official delegations from the UAE for those countries in Europe, and we looked at all the positives and negatives.
Yeah.
For digital currency, I think one of the things you need is identity on chain. We have identity on chain at least ready for being on chain with the UAE Pass. I think it's already on chain.
It's already on chain, yeah.
And it's SHA-256, the encryption behind it. So it's the same technology as Bitcoin. So it's resilient to quantum attacks and things like that. But we are ready as a society to move forward with this kind of payment. But again, we are not in a bubble. We are not in an island. We are connected to the world. And we need to really think about how do we do payments moving forward. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, what I see as well, and I think it's very evident to see that all of these initiatives, all of this forward-thinking movement has in mind, whereas the narrative in other countries is more like, I want my liberty and want my safety and I want to be able to do what I want to do. The UAE has a slightly different mentality, I'd say. It creates a safety net. It's 100%. About safety. It's about making the environment that you operate in safe. You can walk in, the fact that there is so much oversight, but also at the same time, there is safety. It's this, as they call it, the Switzerland of the Middle East. So all of these initiatives are made with safety in mind.
100%. And for example, go back to VARA. VARA is one of those initiatives that technical enforcement plus policy enforcement are extremely done very well.
Yeah.
Where every exchange that is actually getting VARA license has to periodically submit all these technical kind of proofs that they've done the right thing, and they get audited. The oversight is impeccable, and it's all technically done. And this is extremely important. Having a forward-facing or forward-looking regulator where it regulates the activity rather than the underlying asset is never done before. VARA was the first one in the world to do it, and I don't know if anybody is doing it.
No. I mean, I think that the UAE, the last point, but the UK, and I mean, I always take about the UK because that's where I'm from. But the UK always take the way the UK always see how they're trying to going back to a point of fitting a square peg in a round hole. The UK always looks at trying to retrofit regulation and making it more cumbersome. Whereas I think the UAE, the way the approach that you've described, all the different avenues and the way that the leadership is thinking is always nimble. If it doesn't work, move on.
100%.
Right?
And
if it fails, keep going.
And have that feedback loop.
And the feedback loop is very important.
And you'll notice that the laws in the UAE are rapidly changing. We have now, because of UAE Pass, before that, we had to enable things like equating the digital signature to wet signature. The digitally signed document has to stand up in court.
Yes.
The court records are now all moved to digital. So you don't have to have those kind of cabinets with all the paperwork there.
Of course.
And all of this stuff comes at a price. Before we do the blockchain strategy, what we realize is that, we still have a lot of stuff in paper. That's why paperless strategy came right after the blockchain strategy, because we realized that if it's not digital, how are you going to put it on chain? Exactly. It has to be digital first, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, we're just running out of time now, but what I wanted to do was the quick fire thing. It's very quick. We do this with all our guests. I ask you 4 questions, okay? Because this podcast is called The Next. So what is the next for Dr. Marwan?
I think stablecoins is one. I think RWAs as well is another one. I think third one that will enable all those 2 is digital identity on chain.
Okay. What is the next for, you're the CEO of the Dubai Blockchain Center. What is the next for the Dubai Blockchain Center?
I think always our idea for starting Dubai Blockchain Center was advocacy for the space and also enabling the ecosystem. And we'll continue to do that until every single person in Dubai owns some crypto, understands the value take from blockchain, and also can build on chain, applications, or can enable his business on chain, just like with AI, but for blockchain.
What is the next for the industry?
Oh, wow. We don't know. If I knew, I would actually create that or at least help create that.
The next, as in, when we say the next, we don't know talking about in 10, 20, 30. We're talking about 2028.
We don't know. This is the most exciting. That's why I'm still in the space, by the way. Otherwise, I would have left for AI or something else. AI is a good enabler.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about crypto is that evolution is so rapid that you don't know what's going to happen in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
And all these giants that were created are being replaced by new giants, and somebody unheard of 6 months ago could be a huge player in the space as well.
It's crazy.
And it's a very fast moving space, and that's why I love it.
So the last question, which is always the hardest one, what's the next for humanity?
Oh wow, that's I think AI will be the determinant. I think
will AI replace all our jobs?
No, not really. I think in the UAE we look at it differently. It will enable a little bit more, just like with the internet. I think like in the spirit of what His Highness always teaches us, which is if you are not at the front, you're actually losing the race. So you have to imagine how the future is going to be. You have to build it. You have to execute on it. You have to imagine, build, and really put your effort into realizing the future, both in the imagination and the design and the execution. I think all three are important, and we do what we say, like His Highness said, and we really need to enable people to do what they have to do. Laws and regulations are there to help keep people between the right and narrow, but it also needs to be enabling people to do and be successful. And Dubai does this very well.
Yeah.
And Dubai will continue to be at the forefront of technology, at the forefront of user experience that is amazing, and keep everyone happy, keep everyone towards that, waking up every day looking forward to tomorrow. And I think this is extremely important. Hope is what we're selling here in Dubai, and hope is what we should work towards as humanity. And you wake up every day looking forward to tomorrow is the best feeling in the world.
Fantastic. Dr. Marwan Al Zarouni, thank you very much for joining us today on the next. It's been a good conversation. Hope to have you again sometime.
Inshallah.